know, I just shared that. So,
You know, then we'll just get going, and look at that, we're going to be live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very Aaron Girl Bra edition of The Pressure Cooker. As always, I'm your host, Stefan, and we're also joined this week by...
I'm Matt, your host for Under the Table.
I'm Nick. I drink beer underneath tables.
He does drink beer. I mean, what are you going to do about it, though?
Yeah.
Well, today is the day for drinking because it is the most holiest of drinking holidays.
Oh, man, I wait for this day all year round because it's quite literally the only holiday that I celebrate. Why? Because it's all about beer, and beer is number one.
That's true. It's all about beer, but also, before I got on here, I just finished going across my yard and getting all of the snakes out of there. Not literal snakes, but, you know, snakes, deceivers of the faith, they're out of my yard.
I was going to say, it's actually funny that you bring that up, because that's a very common misconception with the St. Patrick's Day lore. You know, everyone always says, oh, that's the day that St. Patrick, or, well, not the day, but they celebrate St. Patrick getting rid of all the snakes from the Emerald Isle and fucking cleansing it and whatever. Quite literally, there were no snakes, and there has never been any evidence of there ever being any snakes on Ireland whatsoever.
Well, you see, Stefan, that would be the science side of it, not the Bible. Because
well,
snakes are science if you listen to the Bible, snakes be wherever you want them to be.
I was a snake once.
Now, see,
and a Bible once.
My thing about this holiday, you know, you guys know this. Those of you at home don't know this one about me, at least yet. Green is my favorite color. I like all of my shit is green.
It's true.
Thing is, this is the one holiday where I usually don't wear green because it's kind of in a protest. It's that all that pinching bullshit and everyone just being like, oh, you have to wear green because it's St. Patrick's Day. Screw that. I don't, but I mean, it's the Boondock Saints, so I had to represent it.
I mean, you saw my Facebook post earlier. Like, I will literally knock somebody out if they fucking pinch me.
Which I really liked, that sick and tired of these snakes on my motherfucking islands.
Me too. But it's actually funny that you bring up the color green with St. Patrick's Day too, because again, dispelling fucking old rumors and all that shit. The traditional color for Ireland and for St. Patrick, blue, not green at all.
Correct.
So here we are. But, I mean, it's just like every other holiday that America celebrates. We just bastardize it and use it for our own purposes. But the only thing that really stays is, since it falls, for the most part, halfway between when Lent starts and when Lent ends, you can indulge as much as you want. So, fuck it. Day for indulgence.
I mean, going back to your thing about the blue, though, do you really want to be drinking blue beer today? I mean, do you want to
Does green beer make it any better?
No, but at least it's not Windex.
Literally, well, kind of. It's probably I would rather drink Windex because any green beer you get at a local bar, at least around here, I mean, it's gonna be like Miller Lite or Budweiser, and they're just gonna put a little bit of blue in there, and it's gonna mix with the yellow and turn into a green and be shit.
I mean, I just don't trust colored beer in and of itself anyway. Like, give it your good lager color, let it be a good red, or just a fucking dark stout. Stouts are always going to be where my heart's...
My beer can is green. That's good enough.
Hey, that's something.
My beer bottle, or my whiskey bottle.
That's not beer.
No, it's much stronger.
So I suppose we'll do the good old St. Patrick's Day thing, and I'll propose a toast. So, let's see. What's a good one? Oh, here we go. Champagne for my real friends, and real pain for my sham friends.
Ooh.
Because, you know, that's always exciting. So, I found this story that I figured, like, it would be a good thing for us to talk about. So, a couple of weeks back, down in, I think it was Louisiana, I don't remember the exact state that it was in, but something like that. Nick is sick, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, so you're going to hear a little bit of that throughout the night.
Hit the like button to save him, because he's so sick he's going to die. He needs the
that show last week when it was so sick that all of us literally got sick from the show.
Dude, nice. I believe it. It was pretty ridiculous. So last weekend, Nick came up to Houghton, and there was a show that he did. It was literally just in some dude's house.
It was awesome.
I think it was a pretty good show, don't get me wrong, especially the band that opened track 5.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit, they were wonderful. They were just an instrumental rock band, kind of similar to like God is an Astronaut or Russian Circles. And they were just absolutely phenomenal. What I love most about that was halfway through their set, their drummer was like, hey, switch it up. And then he just walks over, grabs the guitar from the guitarist. Guitarist sits down at the drum set, and then they play another song without missing a fucking beat. And I leaned over to Nick. I was like, they're fucking wizards. But then they switch it up again, and the guitarist and bassist switch, and they play another song without skipping a beat. It was just, it was mind-numbing is what it was.
Speaking of wizards, did I just hear a Mortimer bark?
Yes, you did just hear a Mortimer bark.
Pups again. I feel like he's going to be the unofficial mascot for this podcast. It's going to be ridiculous. But anyway, circling back to the topic that I wanted to discuss. So I think it was Louisiana. It was somewhere down south. I don't remember which state it was exactly. But there was a teacher that was just fired down there because she had nudes on her phone. Stop right there. I am not finished. She had nudes on her phone. She went to go patrol the hallway for about 5 minutes or so, and she left her phone unattended on her desk the entire time that she was out patrolling the halls. And a 16-year-old boy, as you do, walks up to the phone, unlocks it, because apparently it didn't have any sort of password or anything set onto it, unlocked the phone, found pictures of the nudes, took pictures of her phone so that he could get evidence of said nudes, and then sent it out to God knows who many people. And upon the institution hearing about this, they were like, yeah, all right, deuces, we're going to fire you. And she was just fired.
So I did hear about that. What I heard, though, instead of her going to patrol the hall or whatever, was that she let a student borrow her phone with full knowledge that they were on there, and then said student found them as well.
I mean, either way, student found nudes.
Right, which, I mean, is that really grounds to fire somebody?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean,
because it's like, you know, okay, either way at the story, like 16-year-old kid, like even when I was 16 and you know we didn't have like, you know, smartphones and shit like that, and like
back in my day,
we didn't really have the capability to send like nudes, you know, like when I was 16, nudes were like a thing of the future, like.
Yeah, you had to sketch your junk on a piece of paper and throw it in the mail.
Right.
Well, now to be fair, we could send nudes. It was just in Yahoo chat rooms.
Well, that's true.
Right. But either way, I mean, being a 16-year-old boy, you know damn well he wasn't just like, oh my god, I stumbled upon these nudes. He was probably like, I got this phone in whatever context, and he was like, I'm going to find some fucking nudes on this phone.
Yeah.
And he found some
You know what?
You know, it's not the teacher's fault. Like, you can have nudes on your fucking phone, you know, in any profession. Somebody, that's a personal. If it was a business phone, like the school bought her that phone.
Right. Then that would be more understandable, especially if they were like footing the bill for it or something like that. But, you know, if it's your own personal phone, you know, just whatever you're going to do, you're going to do.
Let's go to the bigger picture here. Let's look at the bigger picture here, though. Where the hell, because I saw another story just recently of 2 teachers that got caught having a threesome with a 16-year-old student. Now, I saw, just a sec, Stefan, just a sec.
Okay.
I saw the mugshots, I'm going to air quote this one, the mugshots of them. And you know what I want to know? The bigger picture of all of this, my burning question, where the fuck were all of the hot teachers when we were in high school?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Absolutely ridiculous.
Where are they all at? Because all of these girls that are getting popped now are hot as hell, and none of my teachers were.
So,
and like, mind you, I went to a pretty small school. Like, my graduating class was, 33 people? So that's understandable why I didn't, okay? But, like, even like, no, just where were they? Where were you? Where were you?
It's ridiculous. I actually found an article not too long ago of, I don't know how this came up either, but it was the top 30 hottest teachers that you wish would have molested you in school, and it was all teachers that were caught for that sort of shit, and they looked more like porn stars than they did teachers.
I know.
I mean, I don't understand it.
Here's another thing too to factor into this is, I mean, when we were that age, like between 16 and 18, like I myself and probably anybody else around that age was nothing to really look at. Like we're all kind of just like weird, smelly, sticky, sweaty.
Speak for
gross
yourself,
things.
motherfucker. That's when I actually looked good because I was a competitive swimmer then. Now I'm fat and
that's-
ugly. Back then, on the other hand, that was when I looked good.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, because we didn't have, constant internet interaction all of the time, like seeing feeds with like fashion and swag and stuff like that. So like
Swag.
I feel like nowadays, like I don't know, kids in high school are more like adultier than like we were, at least appearance-wise in high school. Like have you walked into or like seen like high school kids? Like a lot of them in bigger cities are dressed like young professionals sometimes.
Yeah,
It's like, I
Nick.
was just wearing like just some bullshit. in high
Nick,
school.
I'm living in a bigger city right now, and no, you've got those high-end schools in the real rich neighborhoods and shit. Yeah, they might be, but that's just because they're little douchebags that are horrible anyway.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But no, the majority of them, they dress the same as us. They're wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt.
God, what an
Hey.
awful time to be alive.
And again, yeah, quite horrible. On
Yeah.
that note, why do people think it's okay to wear sweatpants to school? Like, I was a person, I was never caught dead in sweatpants at school.
Actually, I completely agree.
I mean, if you're gonna make an effort to be social, don't wear sweatpants ever. Like leggings, okay. Yoga pants, maybe. Track pants, if you've got a meet going. Otherwise, wear fucking jeans at least.
I mean, if you got a good booty, and I mean, hey, you know what, guys, girls, either of them, if you got a good booty, yoga pants is okay. But I haven't seen, I don't think I've seen any guys in yoga pants, which you know what, I am very happy about that. But I'm sure you have, Stefan.
I
But,
quite
but yeah,
unfortunately.
no, I completely
quite
agree.
unfortunately.
Now my school went out of their way and made it a point to designate a day of every week that was dubbed Sweatpants Day. I think it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, where like it was started by all like I'm pretty sure the popular kid group, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna wear sweatpants on this day, and then just like soon everybody started. So you just come to school on it was like a Tuesday, like midweek something, and just everyone would just look like trash, and it was like, why are you
Yes.
making this a thing?
You
Yes,
know,
the popular
I'm starting to
kids, the
see
whole
why
two
you had a
of them.
graduating class of 30.
Yeah.
Everyone left as
Like
soon
I
as
said-
they
like
heard
I just
about that
said.
shit, didn't they?
Like I just said, the popular kids, the whole three of them.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. That spanned across like 4 grades.
That's just absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, circling back to the story there. So yeah, she was fired, still hasn't gotten hired back by any other institution, at least from what I've seen. And she finally pressed charges against the kid who sent or stole the pictures and sent them out to God knows who many people and received them from there. So I guess we'll see where that goes with that. But what's funny is this is not the first time that something like this has happened. I think it was back in
Oh, no.
2013.
God, no.
There was a Louisiana teacher who had something similar to this happen to her, and nudes were found on her phone, and the institution just immediately cut her out of there.
Well,
I just-
I mean, I see to a degree why they fire them right away because, yeah, they're supposed to be molding the young minds and all this other shit. But you know
Right.
what? Every guy in those classes, that's what they're thinking about anyway.
That's what their
And
mind is already molded to regardless.
The second they go home, they're hopping on Pornhub. They're, when Pornhub does their charities, they are curing cancer. They are replanting the Amazon rainforest. I mean, teenagers that age, they are saving the world with their porn watching.
They're activists is what they are.
They really are.
Yeah, and it's oh crud, damn it, I lost my train of thought. Choo choo went off the track. Son of a bitch. Ah.
All right, well, disregard Nick then.
It
Just
was
move on with
good.
their lives.
Oh, that's where I was going. All right, this is what pisses me off. Okay, regarding this, in regards to the I guess the education system in the States, is somebody gets fired for having their own personal nude pictures on their personal phone, right? But then you have motherfuckers coming in there like, well, we should teach creationism alongside evolution, and they don't get fired. Like, come on, that's way more offensive.
I mean, hey, Adam and Eve walked around. I don't think Adam and Eve were actually wearing those leaves that are always in the picture. So you know what? Some nudes? Why not? It's just what Adam and Eve were really wearing.
Only when Dad was home, that's when they put the leaves.
My shame!
Dad, it's me. Dad. I'm sorry, I'll cover my junk.
Oh, yeah, that's just absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous. So yeah, I thought that was a fun topic that we could have a little bit of fun with. I know that this is gonna happen again, and we
Are
need
you
to.
kidding? It probably is happening as we speak right now. There's probably some hot-ass teacher boning a 16-year-old.
That's the real question too. Is this only getting so much attention because the teacher was attractive, or are we gonna start hearing about the uggos and their nudes
Well,
that are found?
You know, here's what I was thinking about this. When you do going back to our original question of where were all the hot teachers when we were in school, if you look at a lot of professions right now, the profession I'm in, we have there's a big older population in it that within the next like 5-6 years they're all retiring. The company I work for, we are hiring tons of people because we have so many retiring that we're trying to get people trained and stuff before all the older ones leave. Well, schools are the same way. Look at all the teachers that you guys had. What was the youngest age of them? And Stephanie, you and I, there was one where we went that was, but
Yeah.
not counting them, the rest generally were decently up there in age. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. You've got most of them have already hit their retirement and everything. So you have all these new, younger teachers coming in that, I mean, they're probably going to be attractive because they're younger. I mean, compared to someone who's 50 or 60, I think they're going to be a little more attractive. So I think it's just kind of that shifting period.
But then you gotta wonder, is it because they're truly attractive, or is it because they're the best looking of the shit that's in the group?
Well,
Yeah, is it like a
yeah.
10 out of 10 in the school, but like a 6 out of 10 in the real world?
Right. That's the real question. And
Yeah, but I think that also depends on the school.
yeah, that's
true.
absolutely gonna depend on the school. Oh, all right. Well, I think we've given that topic enough conversation for a little while anyway.
We have beaten that
all
dead
right.
horse.
So here is another one that I was very relieved to read about, simply because this has been going on too much, at least for my personal taste anyway. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, he came out and he said VR isn't coming to Xbox anytime soon. Don't hold your breath, people. Which I feel like needed to be said, because I don't know about you guys, we don't even have any good VR headsets out yet, and I'm already fucking sick of hearing about them. I'm just done with it.
Yeah.
I will say IBM right now is working on a very interesting looking VR setup that it's kind of like a circular bowl rotating track that you go inside the little thing and it's full body. Like you need to run from the guys in Call of Duty shooting at your ass, you got to run your fat ass. Which, honestly, here's my thing. I love video games. I hate working out. But I think if I had a very good VR, like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, something like that, I would be in the best goddamn shape of my life because I'd start slow, but yeah, I think I would actually enjoy the physically, feeling like I am actually running through that stuff and doing it.
Oh yeah,
Wouldn't
like,
that
can
be
you
something
imagine,
too
like,
if
having
your
a
character
VR?
could actually, their stats would increase as your stats increase?
Ooh.
Cool.
Interesting concept.
Yeah.
So for Xbox 360, right after the Kinect came out, one of the big launch games. I know, but one of the big launch games that came out was the UFC training game.
Mm.
You could do like that, or do like a UFC Undisputed, but all VR, and do what you just said, where you have the stats kind of go with you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But either way, I mean, I feel like VR is just flooding too much for the fact that we don't have enough. There's nothing promising enough to actually warrant buying anything VR related right now. I mean, in terms of, let's just say the Oculus Rift, there's maybe 10 games that are Oculus supported, and maybe 3 of them are worth playing. the shining example of one that would be worth playing on Oculus right now would be Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which I really feel like we need to do a Let's Play in because it's just far too much fun.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah. For those of you who might not be aware, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is a bomb defusal simulator, and the person either wearing the headset or looking at the TV, they see a bomb. They have to describe the bomb to someone else who quite literally has just a printed out set of paper that has instructions for all these different modules on the bomb and how to defuse them. And
All
you've
these
got to
different
defuse it based
potential
on how
modules.
it's described. It's tons of fucking fun to play.
Well, I will say this. Going back, taking something from our last little conversation there.
Are you going to talk about VR porn?
Yes, I am.
Well, all right. Buckle up, folks.
Because, to be 100% honest, VR has been an idea for a very long time. Everyone's always wanted it type of thing. The development on it, though, was very, very slow. And you had a few companies like Oculus and, there's a few other little, really kind of no-names that have been working on it for a while. And they were working on it in the terms of gaming because, let's face it, gaming has become such a big thing in, our current day and age that's where there's a lot of money in it. However, it really wasn't taking off even in the video game realm and stuff. But then some of the top men at
Who?
top men.
Go on.
Some of them, thank you for that.
Yep.
Some of them at Pornhub and some of these other different, porn websites and everything, they saw it and, once again, sorry for any ladies that are watching, but guess what? We like porn. So they saw it, they saw where they could go with that, and they threw so much money at VR development just for porn. And guess what? If you're a gamer and you really want VR to be a thing, I'm sorry, you have to thank the porn industry because VR would have died if it wasn't for them right now.
It's incredibly true. Yeah, they've dumped so much money into virtual reality. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think there's like 3 or 4 actual big-name websites where not only can you buy VR porn, but you can actually buy VR headsets through them and everything too. And I think if you buy a headset through them, they give you a couple of free videos or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Probably. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
I don't know. I don't get that because, like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of just good old fashioned do and done. Like I don't need a whole virtual headset or like those crazy like sex doll like real life weight. They weigh like 100 pounds and they have like. Have you seen those?
You don't
like,
want to make.
I have.
You don't want to make a baby from the planet Gazorpazorp?
Yeah, and I'm absolutely going to agree with you on that, Nick. I mean, if you're going to do it, just find yourself a video, give yourself a couple strokes, do what you got to do, and then just move on with your life. Don't make an actual hobby out of it, because if you sink that much money into it, at that point it does become a hobby, and you don't want to have to tell people, hey, this is what I invest money in. What do you think? Because everyone's going to go...
Exactly, because the whole thing with like I don't know, personally with masturbating, like it's different than sex. Like you have sex and it's like this intimate thing, and it's this whole like I'm having me some fuck tonight, right? Now, masturbating and pretty much the whole purpose of masturbating is like I'm really irritated because I have too much fucking testosterone. I need to crank this out really quick just so I can not snap somebody's neck today.
I mean, or you're tired and you just need a sleep aid.
Right. It's
or you're sore
like,
and you need to relieve some pain.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Or it's like a thing like I have to brush my teeth before I go to bed or something. It's like I have to beat off before I go to bed, otherwise I'm going to be restless all night or something. It's like why would you try to... You don't mix the two.
You never...
And yeah, how do you explain that to somebody if they find it? Just like they open, like, say you bring somebody over new and you're like, oh yeah, check out my apartment. And they're like, oh cool, what's in this room? And it's like, whoa, don't go in there.
I feel like if you're someone who actually invests money into a sex doll and all that sort of stuff, and someone finds it, you just gotta be straight fucking face with them. They open the closet and they see vibrating Miss Rebecca 7000, and they look and you're like, oh my god, what is this? You have to just look at them dead in the eye. You know damn
fuck
well
that.
what it is. And you know
Folks.
damn well what I do with it. And I know damn well that you're going to picture it later.
Folks, there is a reason that Stefan just pointed at you for that, and there's a reason that door behind him is shut right now.
It's true, I've seen it.
Rebecca is a very pretty lady.
I mean, so moving on to another topic.
Days like this, I'm glad my mom doesn't know what the YouTubes are.
You know, yeah, I gotta wonder right now if my parents are ever gonna come back and watch something like this. Though I'm a strong believer. I don't do anything in my life, and I mean quite literally anything, unless I know I can make a good story out of it. So something like this, it's gonna be a fun story to tell later on down the road anyway.
I mean, Stefan, you know my parents, and they just expect this out of us.
I get to see your mom tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, and Nick, I mean, you know my mom, and yeah, she expects this out of us. So she actually would be let down if we didn't have these type of conversations for America to watch.
No, it's entirely true. Matt's parents are. For those of you who don't understand, let me give you a fun story to set up Matt's parents for you.
Oh God! You know what, Stefan? Honestly, no on this one. Honestly, no.
So fun though.
I know, but this time we'll keep them in suspense. We'll keep them in suspense.
Yeah, just take my word for it that they're fun and I have fun stories.
Mom, Dad, I love you guys, and thank you for not disowning me.
We'll just say, hey, if we reach 1,000 views or something, we'll tell you the story. Hey,
it's gonna come out well before then. Don't you worry. So I'm gonna take a quick minute here to just do a couple of thank yous here. So I'm gonna throw another shout out to Full Screen and thank them for accepting us into the family. If you're watching this right now live, you're probably regretting bringing us into the Full Screen family, but hey, you made the choice, and now here we are. I also want to throw another thank you out to our good friend Mario, who was, at the time of the filming of this anyway, the only person to donate to our GoFundMe. And Mario, we cannot thank you enough for supporting us with that. Here's to you,
I believe
buddy.
you are watching right now too, so thank you.
Hey.
Yeah, thank you, Mario. You helped aid in us getting the wrong cable for a camera.
Well, getting the wrong cable for the camera, but he at least did buy us the right cable for our microphones that we used in our last 2 filmings, I think, actually.
Yep. And donuts.
And donuts and Surge.
Yes. Well, he also, and he knows this, but he will be making a guest appearance, hopefully, in one of our future episodes of Under the Table.
Ooh, won't that be a treat for everyone?
Indeed it will.
So speaking of Under the Table, I'm just going to go ahead and say that the one that we just put out on Sunday, I was really, really proud of that one. I thought that was one of our best videos that we put out yet.
I watched it with Mario and another good friend of ours, and the 3 of us almost pissed ourselves. It was so, like, the edit. Stefan, I gotta say, your editing was awesome. Yeah. It turned out really well. Folks, once again, we're sorry about some of the quality issues. We know that the camera that was on Stefan and Dustin was, like, really yellow. They looked like they were in The Simpsons.
Well, that wasn't a fault of the camera. That was a fault of what we had to use for our lighting setup.
Well, agreed, but still, it's, we're working on it. We're trying to do our best. I mean, honestly,
we only got so much money, though.
I mean, honestly, for saying that, this podcast right now, to let you guys know what's going on, I am in the Detroit area. Nick is in Escanaba, and Stefan is in Houghton. Like, we are nowhere near each other right now. Our internet connections vary. Our mics and webcams vary. Like, we're doing this for you guys, so please just bear with us on some of the equipment stuff. And as we get more money, we are doing our absolute best to give you guys the best quality videos we can.
So along the vein of what you were saying there, I was actually afraid that this podcast wasn't even going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who might not be aware, here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, every single year we have a St. Patrick's Day storm. There's just no getting around that. We accept that it's going to happen, and we just move on with our lives.
Yep.
About 11:30 last night, I saw, right as I was going to bed, that it was starting to snow, and I was like, all right, well, There's going to be snow in the morning when I wake up. I guess that's going to be a thing. I woke up, there was at least 2 feet of snow on the ground. There was so much snow and it was so packy, it actually landed on the tree that's outside of my house here, and there was a 12-foot branch, a fucking thick-ass 12-foot branch, too, that was downed in my driveway. There was just barely enough room for me to get out and actually make it to work this morning. It's actually still outside of my house. I can see it right now. It's ridiculous. So, because that fell, my internet went down. And I noticed that this morning. And
Womp, womp, womp.
yeah, I went to work this morning. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do if my internet is out. That's gonna throw a wrench in everything. I got back home from work and I was like, all right, internet's still down. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to come up with Plan B here. So I started texting some of my friends and I'm like, I gotta get somewhere with internet. I got a podcast that I have to do. And right as I confirmed plans to go somewhere else to be able to do this podcast, I was like, all right, I'm going to get everything ready, and then internet's back. So, here we are. I can do it in the comfort of my house. Ain't that something?
Yeah. Also in the realm of quality is both my web camera, which, as you can see by me looking like an entire potato, it's very old. What's that?
You're kind of a blue flashing potato too. Kind of a blue pulsing potato.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the blue pulsing.
It's the light from your actual computer screen itself.
I think the potato got radiation.
Well, all right.
What if I do one of these? Anyways, also with the filming of Under the Table, does that get rid of the blue pulsing?
No.
Nah, not even.
Fuck my mouth. Okay. So, with the filming of Under the Table, long story short, I got this nifty-ass camera. It's a Canon XL1S. Pretty okay camera, right? It was
really good camera. For those of you who might not know, it's the same camera that was used on the filming for 28 Days Later and a couple other big-name movies.
Yeah,
but go on.
It's a relatively good camera. However, we've had nothing but severe bad luck with it. Because every attempt, it records the DV tape. Like, it wasn't quite at the time where they put, the option for SD or any other sort of digital storage. So it compresses it to tape. Now, we've been having, I don't know, weeks worth of fun trying to get the tape to digital, and it's just has proved so much unsuccessfulness thus far. We just ordered a cable to do just regular capture card, right?
Thanks, Mario.
Yeah, thank you, Mario. However, it was male end, and the camera is male end, and it doesn't want to do the thing. So now we're left waiting for a little while longer, which you might be wondering, like, well, that's weird. Why was there only GoPro footage in the last Under the Table? Well, because...
Hey.
Yeah, we had, for any of you that, and it's still up, if any of you go to our Facebook page, you can see the completely janky setup that we had for camera and lighting. I mean, we had lights hanging from the microphone. We have lights.
A coat rack?
We have lights jerry-rigged to a coat rack that is standing over the top of this camera that the GoPro is also hooked to. Like, we are doing our best for you guys with what we have, and we spent hours trying to just figure hours and multiple trips to the hardware store trying to figure out the best way to improve our quality even just a little bit for you guys.
There's a picture on our Facebook page where you can kind of see the rigged lighting that we had everywhere, and it's pretty comical, actually.
Yeah, and then
I
there's
actually got it as my header on my Facebook page here too.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, for what we were trying to do, it was actually not a bad setup.
I mean, honestly, yeah, it did turn out pretty good. I will say, and I'm sure all of you that have watched this last Under the Table, I'm sure you've all seen it. So whatever. The one nice picture that's hanging just over my right shoulder in the video, you can actually see our camera guy's reflection jumping back and forth between cameras while he's making sure everything is still running and working properly. And we got to give, we're going to give a shout out to Paul right now because we straight up, with how we had all of these cameras set, Paul had what, like a foot and a half in between the cameras and the wall to actually move behind them and actually see and make sure they were going on, and he worked that stuff like a champ. And,
thankfully, there isn't a whole lot to Paul, so he was able to get in and out of that.
I mean, that is true. He's kind of the size of a sheet of paper.
Either way, we love you, you Jewish dick.
Here's to Paul.
There's
Thanks,
something to
Paul. You're the best, fam.
All right, so another fun topic that it's been floating around for a while, but I feel like it's time for us to finally weigh in on this and say our piece on it. Apple versus the FBI. So, for those of you who might not know, I do work in the information technology industry. I have strong opinions on encryption. And I am siding with Apple on this because I feel like our personal and private information should stay just that, personal and private. Thankfully, now the law is on my side too. And it actually has been for the better part of 20 years now. In 1995, and one of Obama's former legal aides actually brought this up. It was an article that I just read this morning on Slashdot. There was the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act that was put into effect in 1995 that basically says no business can have absolutely any say on how a company writes their software, does anything with their phones, and they can't do anything to edit that on the law's behalf. So what that basically means is Apple doesn't have to rewrite their whole code and give it to the FBI just because the FBI says, but we want you to! So, they really don't have a leg to stand on, especially since the strongest law that the FBI is leaning on is a Colonial Writs Act that was written way back before the Constitution was even really a thing. So way back before fucking, the concept of phones was even a thought, let alone smartphones, let alone personal data, let alone encryption. They don't really have a leg to stand on, in my opinion, and they need to just back off and let Apple do their thing.
I thought you were going to say the only thing that they have to stand on is a Corona.
A lame-o.
You know what? Honestly, I don't like Apple. I never have. If that just lost some of our viewers, I'm sorry, but suck it up. You're a goddamn cult.
Eat my fucking butthole.
Anyway, even though I don't like Apple, I completely agree with you, Stefan. I 100% side with them on this one because it is. And honestly, there's been a couple articles that I've read that this was a big misunderstanding too, not in terms of like what they were trying to get, but the way that the government's been portraying it as like, oh yeah, we actually do have rights to unlock this, and oh, we're only asking for people who we suspect to be a threat to the country or terrorists or stuff. No, the government straight up they wanted a backdoor access. Like, they wanted to be able to just Joe Schmo who just sits and texts and plays solitaire on his phone, they wanted to be able to monitor everything he was doing.
And here's the thing about this, too, is there's a lot of people that I've seen, at least on Facebook anyway, some people that say, oh, well, the government's got so many supercomputers, they would be able to hack into it if they really want to. They've got a way to get into this. They're just making this political thing. I'm coming in hot on this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set the record straight once and for all about this.
You know what really grinds my gears?
So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use layman's terms for all of this, but I'm going to explain it as thoroughly and concisely as I can. So basically, here is how Apple's encryption works for their smartphones. Right, and I'm going to explain this pre-fappening and post-fappening.
Ooh, the fappening.
Because that does have a major role in the encryption for all of this.
I want to take one slight second to just point out the fact that every single topic that we have covered tonight has gotten back to porn in a slight way.
By the way, that guy's finally getting convicted, but we'll circle back to that.
Back to you. I wanted to point that out.
Pre-fappening. Here's how encryption worked on Apple phones. Basically, there's two sets of keys that are used to encrypt data on the phone. There's a software key and there's a hardware key. So basically, when they go to encrypt the phone, it's essentially like creating a lock for it software side and creating a lock for it hardware side. The software side lock would be the equivalent to password, PIN code, thumb scan, something like that, to unlock the data and actually show what it is. The hardware key would be something that they could physically enter in on the hardware itself, and it would unlock everything, show you what's on there. The way that it would work pre-fappening is the hardware key would be stored with Google, and they would be able to unlock it whenever they needed to, should something like the fappening happen.
In this case with Apple, because we're talking Apple.
Right. So here is what happened post-fappening. When they heard about all this, they decided, all right, we're going to ramp up to security to the point where not only can not anyone break into it, we can't get into our own shit because people's personal data should be just that, personal. So essentially when they go to encrypt their phone, it creates another lock on it, software side, which would be the password for it, PIN key, what have you, all that. Then there's the hardware lock. Basically what it does for the hardware lock is it creates the lock for it, creates a key to unlock that said lock, melts that key down, puts it on its dick, fucks your mother with it, throws that key into the fiery pits of hell itself from whence it came so that no one can get into it.
Except Dante, because he made it through all those layers.
Well, that's neither here nor there. The only way that they can get into that phone now is if they get the password for it in order to get into it. Apple didn't stop there, though. You have 10 attempts to get into the phone software side of it. If you can't get into it after that, it physically wipes the data that's on the computer or on the device. Can't access it at all. That's just it. It's gone. Now, people might think, all right, well, it's 10 attempts. They can set up an algorithm to be able to hack into this and get it going, whatever. So, assuming that they just use a 4-digit PIN, just a 4-digit numeric PIN, the algorithm would take roughly around 6 days to figure out what the PIN would be, and that's just best guesses. That's not knowing for sure what the PIN is going to be to get into it. Assuming it's just a six-letter password in there, that infinitesimally increases the time for it, and it would now take 30 days to run through this algorithm and figure out what the password is going to be. And again, that's just assuming that it's 6 alphanumeric numbers. You throw special characters in there, it's any longer than that, the time increases so much beyond that.
It all goes up exponentially.
It is possible for the government to run their supercomputers and get into it, but it would take so damn long that it's not worth it for them to try because, again, this is just a best guess. If they guess wrong and they continue to guess wrong, there it goes.
And that's why they make such a big deal about getting this from Apple, that they want this back door is so they don't have the possibility of fucking up and wiping everything.
And here's the thing, too. The argument that the government is staging all of this on is that there's crucial evidence on there that's needed in order to convict the San Bernardino shooter within all of this. The man shot up a whole bunch of people! He should already be convicted for that. They don't need any evidence that's on the phone. He can do whatever he's going to do. The government can already make their case, and they're going to win. They don't need to get into this phone. Well, they're trying to use this as an excuse to be able to put backdoors on these phones in the future and be able to track these people and profile people and start to make assumptions about you, America, and arrest you.
Agreed, Stefan. Completely agreed that's completely why they did it and why they want to do this, and the avenue they're using for this. However, and this is a much larger topic than this particular one, but it's still something that I actually just heard on the radio about something that happened around here recently. Part of the reason they do want all this stuff off of his phone and everything is because of insanity pleas. insanity pleas have gotten ridiculous. You can get off of almost fucking anything just by acting insane. And yes, some
True.
people are insane, but guess what? You should not get off if you go out and kill a bunch of people. You should not get off just because you're insane. You should still get. You know what? I don't care if it's jail, if it's a mental institution, what it is. There is still something big that should happen to you. You should not be back in public. We just recently, I think it was roughly about a month ago now. I don't know how. I'm sure it made national news, but it was big news down here because I am down in the Detroit metro area. There was a series of shootings in Kalamazoo, which is about 2-ish hours from where I live.
The Uber driver?
Yes, the
Yeah.
Uber driver. A man
Did you
went
see that
around.
he's trying to sue Uber for what, like
Yes.
$10 million?
That's
$10 million.
That is what I heard this morning. So what happened was this guy, he was an Uber driver. He shot a number of people. I think it was around 5 or 6.
6 sounds right.
Yeah, shot a number of people in between Uber runs. So think about that one. This guy picks you up from the bar, drops your ass off at home, drives a block, and goes and shoots someone.
And then he goes and picks up his next fare like, hey, where can I take you?
Yeah, exactly.
And that, kids, is why you always tip service people.
That kid is why you use Lyft and not Uber.
Yeah. So,
or get your own fucking car.
Well, but yeah, but hey, we do not condone drinking and driving, and the majority, that is what Uber is.
Walk home, get a
true.
bike, learn how to skateboard, don't be a fuckboy.
No, let's not knock Uber itself, because Uber in and of itself, I think it's a good concept, and if it were around here, I would probably use it more, but what are you going to do?
Okay, so yes, this whole thing, the whole insanity plea, it sucks. Literally, if you look at what he just sued Uber for, he literally is using this lawsuit to clear his insanity plea. His lawsuit is straight up like the last thing. Are you ready for this? The last thing on the lawsuit of why he's suing them, Uber did not invite him to company parties.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Really?
It was like, oh, back wages, didn't get paid for overtime. Some of this other stuff that, okay, it ain't worth no goddamn $10 million, but there is a slight potential that, yes, it is grounds to sue. So they're going through these, like, legitimate reasons, and I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't deserve any of this because he shot 6 people, but okay, he wants to sue him for this. Then at the very end, they're like, and he wasn't invited to company parties. And I was just like,
okay, first of all, with this dude trying to sue Uber, Jesus fuck.
Wow, holy shit.
Yeah, it's just I'm still kind of sick.
Toast.
Okay, brains dumbing a bunch of brains. Anyways, so like this guy, right? He's just like, oh god, my job sucks. This sucks, right? Get a fucking different job, dude. All right, Uber isn't holding you down and making you work a shitty job, all right, or what you consider a shitty job, all right. If you have the comprehensive ability to be like, wow, my job is kind of fucking me over. Get a different job instead of shooting a bunch of people.
Well, okay, so I get a little more news on some of this stuff than you guys do, just because of my proximity to it, and this area we just have a little more news anyway.
Yeah.
One of the things I did hear, so I heard an interview with the last guy to actually get in the vehicle with him and go, like, the last guy that he was the Uber driver of. And that dude said, and this was just before the shooting started. So that dude said he gets in the car and they start driving, everything. Like, the dude seemed really weird, but not any out of the ordinary for Uber, which I will get back to that one because I have my own personal Uber story on this. So he gets in the car, they start driving, and then the driver gets a phone call. And I guess he answered the phone. He didn't say much, but he was on the phone for like 5-10 minutes. Soon as he got off the phone, the guy said that the driver's demeanor 100% changed. And he was like, he seemed angry, but in like a creepy way, and started like driving on sidewalks and running lights, and literally when they were like, what do you say, like a mile, 2 miles from where the destination that he was supposed to be being driven to was. The guy finally did stop at like a stoplight or a stop sign. This dude jumped the fuck out of the car and ran. He straight up like feared for his life at that point and just got the fuck out. And but yeah, and then it was like after that he started going on I don't want to say rampage because I really don't want to be like the fucking media. Like, it was 6 people. Yes,
Right.
A lot of people died. Yes, it was bad. But guess what? That's not a mass shooting. It's 6 people. Yes, a human life is, you can't put a price or anything on a human life. Everyone's life is important. Shootings are horrible.
Absolutely.
But, 6 people, that's nothing compared to, what happened on 9/11.
Say Columbine.
Columbine or something like that, where you had a ton of people get killed and shot.
And that's the thing, too. This guy is going to get his 5 minutes of internet fame, and then he's just going to fade away into obscurity, and no one's going to remember him again anyway.
Well,
that's just the way that things work on the internet. I mean, for example here, does anyone remember the Balloon Boy?
Nope.
Fucking, so, what was it,
name.
like 2005 or something like that? There was a kid that was trapped in a balloon, and he was up in the air for, I don't know, a couple hours, and he was just the biggest thing for all of like a month. He appeared on Oprah and everything. No one remembers the kid's name now. No one even remembers that he exists. He probably goes around school like, hey, you guys remember I was the Balloon Boy?
Oh shit! You don't even have to look.
Oh, but wait, no. But everybody remembers the Turtle Kid from the news.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Right?
Only because
It's
Daniel
amazing
Tosh
how you can
gave
remember
him
the
his
Turtle
5 minutes
Kid,
of
but
fame.
not the Balloon Kid, right?
Well, and I mean, that's
and another
the
thing, too, is what are the requirements to get hired as an Uber driver?
There are none.
That's the
There
thing, yeah.
literally
Your
are
requirements
none.
have to be have a driver's license and a car.
Yes.
Right. It's like, okay, cool.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's have Gigi Allen drive me around.
Okay, so
Right.
time for my Uber horror story.
Oh, by all means.
Okay, so I have only taken an Uber once. It was not my choice. To be 100% honest, and you guys know this, America, you may not. Well, I know you don't. You don't know.
America, all 4 of you.
Exactly. Actually, you know what? The 4 of you that are probably watching this, you probably do know what I'm about to say. But I am not really a people person. I don't really like new people, especially when I don't have kind of control of the situation, like an Uber driver. So I was in the Ann Arbor area hanging out with some friends, and we went. They live probably, I don't know, 5-6 miles from downtown. So we wanted to go hit up some of the bars and stuff. None of us wanted to be the DD. None of us wanted to drive or anything. So they said, okay, yeah, we will. We'll take an Uber in. We'll take an Uber out. Or actually, we drove in, left the car there, and took an Uber out. It was like, no big deal. So that was what they wanted to do. I wasn't gonna fight them on it. Whatever. I wanted to drink that night, so it's not like I was gonna be the DD. Whatever. So we have a decently fun night. Everything's going well in that. So time to go home. So we do all the stuff. I don't remember exactly what you got to do for an Uber driver, but Uber driver comes. So we get in the guy's van. Starts. Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Go on, Matt.
I am dying. Not really, but
Anyway, so
We're all dying.
we get
I mean, really.
we get shut up. We get in the van. We start going, and like this dude, he was a creepy motherfucker. And we start going, and it's normal Ann Arbor traffic, and like you two especially don't really understand this because up in the UP. Okay, so something for some of you up in the UP, if you are sitting for 15, 20 minutes in traffic, it is the largest fucking flock of turkeys in the world.
Truly.
And that's the only reason you're going to be sitting in traffic. Down here, on the other hand,
or unless
That's
grandma has a
Tuesday.
stroke behind the
yeah,
wheel.
not even. That's every 5 fucking minutes is you're waiting in traffic for 20 minutes. Yes, you
Yeah.
can wait in traffic for 20 minutes every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Math?
yeah, exactly. So
Carry the four.
normal traffic, it wasn't that bad, to be honest. we're sitting at the stoplight, and the guy just starts grumbling, and then literally slams on his horn, cranks the wheel, and starts driving down the sidewalk of U of M.
Whoa.
In a minivan.
That sounds like a bad time.
Just fucking trucking down the sidewalk of U of M, like honking his horn. Kids are kind of jumping out of the way. Now, not in the sense of like he's about to hit them. They were still a ways up, but you fucking see headlights coming down the sidewalk. You're going to get your ass out of the way.
Yeah.
So people are, jumping out the way. So yeah, we go like a block and a half on the fucking sidewalk.
Ooh.
And then he pulls back on the road and then drives us back to my friend's house. And like we get out and he pulls away and I turn and look at them and I was like, I should have said no to the Uber. Never fucking again am I taking an Uber. And
you know what? Yeah, fair enough.
Well, that's what happens when you have
there's no requirements on the driver other than
like
you have a license.
Right, cab drivers are already horrifying as it is. Like,
yeah, but they at least have to be certified.
Yeah, but I mean, really, come on. Like, I remember one time, cab driver. It was I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years ago. I forget what the occasion was, but I was very inebriated, and
as you do.
As I do. And so I was going to sleep on my friend's couch because at the time I wasn't living in town. I was living out of town. So, I mean, I couldn't just walk home because it was a 30-minute drive home. Anyway, so I was staying on my friend's couch. I also had a big old bushy beard at the time, which plays into the story. I was a cab driver, just some old dude.
Baby face now.
Yeah, just some old dude, and, I just hop in the cab, and I'm just going like, oh, McDonald's. So he drove me to McDonald's, I got my food, and I was just kind of like, whatever. He was driving me home, and he kept telling me the story. I don't remember what the story was because I barely remember the night. But then, one of the very few times that I've, recently thrown up from drinking too much. Doesn't happen very often, but this is a special kind of drunk that I was. So, I was just kind of like, you got to pull over, man. And he's just like, keeps on telling me the story, and I'm just like, dude, you really have to pull over. Like, I'm gonna throw up in your car if you don't. And he's just like, I'm like looking and making eye contact with him, telling him like, I'm gonna throw up in your car if you don't pull over. And he just kept telling me his story. So I threw up a little bit, just like in my mouth, and I was like, all right, I'll just hold this until we get to the house. It's fine. Well, then round 2 came, and I tried to like stop it, and it just got like all over me. And he's still telling the story. I'm just vomiting violently in the seat, and he's just like still telling the story. So eventually I opened the door, and then he was kind of like, oh, hey, you can't open the door. And I'm like, stop the car! So I just gave him $20 and then just walked home the rest of the way.
You know what? I got to say this about the cab drivers up there.
They just do not give a shit.
Well, you know what, though? They don't give a shit to a degree, but at the same token, they care. And by they care, I mean...
They took me to McDonald's. I know
that motherfucker took you to McDonald's. Down here, they're going to say, you're a fucking idiot, and just... they're literally going to look at you and go, you're an idiot, where am I taking you? They, will not do any of that shit. It is, give me an address, you're sitting in the back, I'm locking you in the back, there's fucking bulletproof glass between the two of us, and
I guess the point I was getting at was
when we get there.
If you're being hired for a job where you're driving, right? You should have some sort of situational awareness, like driving a vehicle, a big death machine. You think that would play into there was an instance that dude had zero situational awareness, at all.
Again, that just makes way too much sense, though. We can't have that.
I know, but it's like with Uber drivers. Why are there no do you just go onto the app and be like, hey, let me drive people, and they're like, hey.
Yeah,
it's like German pilots. Hey, why don't we mentally screen them first?
Yeah, Nick, literally, I think that's what the sign-up process is.
I'm gonna look. Hold on. You know what?
I straight up think it's, I want to be a driver. Here's my bank account. Here's my driver's license number. Yes, you can look at it to see that I have no record. Submit.
I'm gonna see about being an Uber driver real quick.
Oh man, you would be the only Uber driver in the entirety of the UP. I'm pretty sure.
You would make bank, but at the same token, Stefan, last time I was home, we were at a pizza place at close remember what we saw? That lovely young lady and
That guy was a straight savage.
that guy. He was a savage, but you know what? He was a trooper because he still got her drunk ass in the car.
Yeah, he did.
He put up with way more shit than I would have ever been willing to put up.
Oh,
So
I would have left the bitch
Yeah,
in the car.
like-
So-
at the
let me paint a word picture for those of you in the internet here. So we had just finished filming Under the Table, and we decided that we were going to
and the
celebrate.
first podcast.
We
Yeah,
decided
true.
we were going to celebrate, and the only way to celebrate was to be more inebriated than we already were. So we went out to the bars,
As we do.
and we had, as you do, and we had some more drinks, and it was early enough. We were like, all right, well, there's a pizza place that's still open. Let's just walk down there, get us some food, and fucking move on with our lives.
It's
So we
kind
walked
of
down
what
to-
we do. That's
It
kind
is.
of our thing. Is hit our bar, hit our pizza place. That's
And then
what we
sleep
do.
forever.
They
Yeah.
straight up, they know us.
It's true. So we walk into our pizza place, and we sit down, and we start ordering our food, and just generally being dicks and having a time. This drunken lady, I would say stumbles into the restaurant, but she doesn't make it that far. She stumbles into
I
the
would say
door.
tumble.
She stumbled into the glass door and, like, pressed her face up against it and everything, like, full on just...
The saddest part of that whole part of the story is that all happened behind me and I didn't get to see it.
So she stumbles into the first glass door, tries to make it to the second one, but hits the ground, and the guy, like, lifts her up and pulls open the door and, like, sits her down. He's like, we're just gonna need waters and coffee and a phone so I can call a cab. I'm not even gonna put you through the pain of having to get food or anything for us. And the waitress was just like, okay. So she brings them their waters and a couple of coffee, and the girl's, like, trying to remain upright while she's kind of, like, half passing out. And we're just sitting there talking to the guy like, man, you're a fucking trooper for putting up with this. And he just looks back at us. He looks back at us, and, like, he just mouths the words, you have no fucking idea.
Well, to be honest, so it was we're enjoying our food. We look over, and yeah, at first she was kind of like leaning back and looked like, you know, a zombie or something. Then her face went down against the table, and what started the conversation was that we heard him saying, "You need to stop drooling." Because evidently she was just drooling all over the table. Now, we were very inebriated by this point. These guys more than me because I stay sober for when we film Under the Table, so I can kind of keep stuff going. So I didn't have as much of a buzz as them. These guys just started laughing.
Oh, we
When
couldn't handle
hear-
it.
Yeah, there was no chill there. Like we just had.
I mean, yeah, and honestly, I don't blame them in the slightest. I was laughing, but I wasn't drunk enough. I could keep it kind of under my breath. And
It
yeah,
got worse, though. It got worse when the girl was not only laying on the fucking table and just drooling everywhere, but when she fell off the table and out of the booth.
Yes.
For all of a sudden, gravity just wasn't a thing, and she was just... And just
Every
off the
single-
ground.
Every single glass of water she got, she would just knock over.
She
was
spilled
like,
3 glasses!
Okay,
There was a
but one of
swimming
those-
pool inside of there by the
But
time
one
we
of
left.
those, that wasn't like a I'm drunk, I tipped it over.
No,
If you watch, and I had okay, so for those of you at home, I'm sitting looking at these guys. They were like right here. They were in my field of vision. I could see everything. She's laying their head down. They bring her this glass of water. They set it down. The guy's like kind of talking to her. He's like, hey, you need to drink this. Like, I know you're bad, but like you need to get some water in you.
she's just
Her response to this is literally head down like this and just BAM! Fucking chucks the glass of water across the goddamn room, hits the wall. These are those cheap ass plastic cups that you gotta like hit them with run them over with a tank to be able to crack them because
if
Yeah,
you
she's
wash them too hard, they'd crack.
No. The ones that were the ones that you got to run over with a tank to crack them because this pizza place, yes, because pizza place they are like the only place in town that is open after the bars close, so they get the best drunks in there. If you go in after 2 a.m.,
Now,
the
when you
scenery-
say best,
the scenery is hilarious. That's what I mean by best.
It's
So-
really one of the bigger appeals to going to get pizza after the bars is like, oh, we get to eat food. It's like eating popcorn at the movie theater. These are just like, that's not me.
Yeah, exactly.
great.
Exactly. So she just chucks this glass against the wall and breaks the sucker. And the dude, he just like starts yelling at her at that point. And finally the cab driver gets there, and he's just the whole time he's like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pay for the glass. Those glasses are like $1. He was like, I'm gonna pay for the glass. Here's some extra money just because she's a bitch. And
he just carried on with his life, and that was that.
So then the best part, though, in my opinion, the best part was when we paid our bills that night. Because, like I said, we go to this pizza place a lot. The waitress, she knows us. She knows we always sit at the table that we were sitting at.
Yep.
So as we're cashing out, we kind of, I think, Stefan, you and I were talking to her, and we made the joke. It was like, wow, because we were there early that night. It was what, probably only like 12:30 when we were actually in there.
12:30 sounds right.
Yeah, it wasn't even bar close. And, so we're in there, we're talking to her, and we're cashing out in that, and Stefan and I look at her, and we're like, if this is the 12 o'clock crowd, we're afraid for you tonight when you're going to hit when bars close. And she just looks at us and starts laughing, and she was like, yeah, I think it's a full moon or something, because,
Yeah. And while she was laughing, she did shed like a single tear of pain also.
Yeah.
Which,
I'm pretty sure I heard someone talking in the background.
There's a lot of times that we're in there. I mean, she is a trooper, because
She's always there. There's never anyone else in
you
there.
know what, though, and the stuff that she has to deal with, dear God, I would murder everyone in that place.
Yeah.
Well, I think all of that is a story for another time. We've
truly
talked
is.
to people enough for tonight.
That
So
is
I
true.
want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us on this holiest of holidays and spend your time with us rather than... Did you really want to be in the bars anyway? I mean, they're all going to be assholes. You don't want to deal with any of that. So we're going to call it a night here, folks. So here from Pyro Yacht Productions, stay classy.
Once again, guys, thank you a ton for all the support that we've gotten.
Don't listen to them. We hate you.
We're doing our best to give you the best quality stuff. Like I said, bear with us. We are doing our best to buy better equipment. And, my friends, a toast to another pressure cooker down and all of what is yet to come for you guys from Pyro Yacht Productions. We love you. We do this for you.
Yeah, you know what? No, I'm just going to go ahead and end it on you can kiss these Blarney Stones.